Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Solution Seekers. I'm Kelly. I'm sure that most of you have realized that Trump did sign the stimulus package, $908 billion. So we will get $600 minimum for um, support, and then an additional $300 for the 10 million plus people who happen to be unemployed. But the real question is, where's the $2,000 that was mentioned? Because in these depressing economic times that we're currently living right now, $600 is a slap in the face, but it's only a clear indication that our government is completely fractured, and they have no idea. They can't relate to the average needs and concerns of the average American citizen until it becomes the voting time. Then, they want everything from you, but then once they get elected, they can't do nothing for you. When I first heard the $600, I was like, wow, really? What is that going to do? What about all these months that have gone by? The GDP is taking a shit. The CPI is taking a shit. These are economic factors. Our non financial debt ratio is 92% of the GDP. For you people who understand economics, you know what I'm talking about. But it's it's depressing. But it is what it is. And how do we deal with it? How do we deal with this crap emotionally? And I don't know how you're going to do it, but me, myself, coupled with everything else that I've had the experience, I'm just taking it 15 minutes at a time. 15 minutes has always been doable for me, but one day it's just too long. And I've done this my whole time that I've been sober. I've been sober for about 8 years. And you know what? The other day, man, I was just like, man, the hell with my sobriety. You know, everybody is going through something right now. Rather it's health issues, rather it's family issues, rather it's financial uncertainty, rather it's the kids are driving you crazy, or you're feeling like you're in prison because you can't get out and it's safer at home. Here in Los Angeles, we're on a safer at home again until the 27th. So a lot of people are opting to stay home, and the numbers are seem to be spiking, and the vaccines for us common folk is a long way away. You know, but hopefully the $600 will do a little something that will tide you over until the next administration takes over, and then maybe we can get something done. But until then, we just have a lame duck president who wants to go play golf. We have a bunch of people in Congress who want to go home every weekend as opposed to doing what they're supposed to be paid for. I've been saying this for some months that maybe we should prorate their salaries all the way from today all the way back to the July 21st, I guess, when they first started doing all these negotiations, and just take their salaries and give that money to the food banks. It won't happen, but it's just a good idea. Because I mean, if how can you possibly get paid to do a job when you're not effectively doing the job the right way? Yet you're still getting paid, and the amount of money, and how many of those people who are in Congress actually can relate to the cares to our daily struggles, doing laundry, watching your kids if you have kids, you know, catching a bus, taking an Uber, um, going shopping, or even for God forbid, cleaning your bathroom or your kitchen or even cooking your own food. I don't think most of them can even relate, minus except for maybe AOC, who's a rare exception. But that's just from now, because 10 years from now, she's going to be super wealthy like the rest of them. But I don't know. I'm out of options. But what I'm adding to the back end of this is an interview that Bernie Sanders did this morning. It's pretty informative about what the next step is about trying to get this $2,000, because I think all the Democrats are on board with it. Some Republicans are on board with it, and a few independents are on board with it. But the real question is, can they get the Senate, which is ran by the Republicans, of course? Republicans don't like the people. They like the business. Tax cuts for the rich. No, excuse me. Tax cuts for the rich, tax cuts for the corporations. And we still get nothing. Not that most of us don't want nothing for, we don't want nothing for nothing. But the 2020 has opened some new doors that none of us have ever walked through, and we're required to experience some things that we never have before. So, with that being said, our government seems to be lackadaisical in its effort to support us. You know, I don't judge a person by what they do, what they say. I judge a person by what they do, or entity for that matter. You're only as good as your word. And thus far, this government is their word is shit. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think the same thing? If you do, please tell me down. Please tell me in the comments. Well, I think I've said enough. I'm going to attach that interview with Bernie Sanders. I kind of like this filter. It's pretty cool. And then I hope you got something. Hopefully, you got something out of it. Be safe. And if nobody has told you this today, I love you. And
let's bring in Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont. So, Senator Sanders, you've been pushing for these relief checks, these direct payments to Americans for a long time. And now the president is issuing a sort of veto threat, not saying whether or not he will sign this bill. What's next? What's going to happen? Is this bill going to be signed into law?
Jonathan, what the president is doing right now is unbelievably cruel. Many millions of people are losing their extended unemployment benefits. They're going to be evicted from their apartments because the eviction moratorium is ending. We are looking at a way to get the vaccine distributed to tens of millions of people. There's money in that bill. And this president is diddling around, and he may actually veto it. My view is that given the terrible economic crisis facing this country, yes, we do need to get $2,000 out to every working class individual in this country, $500 for their kid. But you can't diddle around with the bill. Sign the bill, Mr. President, and then immediately, Monday, Tuesday, we can pass a $2,000 direct payment for the working families of this country.
The president came up with this. This was out of the blue. I mean, the White House actually had said or suggested that he was going to sign it as soon as it hit its desk. So I want to ask you, you had been proposing $2,000 payments. You actually wanted monthly payments for months since the spring. And then you finally got Republican Josh Hawley to join you in the effort for a larger payment. During all of that time of lobbying for this, did you hear from the White House? Did they join you in pushing for this?
No, not a word. Everybody assumed, that Mnuchin was representing the White House. I talked to Mnuchin a couple of weeks ago, and that was the assumption that everybody had. And suddenly, because we have an extraordinary narcissist, pathologically narcissistic in the White House, he said, well, yes, I know there were intense negotiations. You passed the $908 billion bill. It has, extending unemployment. It has direct payments. It has this, that, and everything else. But you know what? I have now decided that I'm going to jump into the game, and I want $2,000. Well, I want $2,000. The American people want $2,000. They need it, given the economic crisis. So what we need to do is have the president sign that bill today, right now, or else the suffering in this country will be immense, and then we can immediately deal with the 2,000.
Okay, so we don't know what the guy's going to do. What happens if the president does not sign this bill? What happens?
Jonathan, look, we are dealing with an unprecedented moment in American history. So many people are hurting. We're looking at millions of people who may be evicted from their homes. We're looking at the highest level of hunger in the modern history of the United States in the midst of this terrible pandemic, where hospitals are now, being overwhelmed. You got 90 million people who have no health insurance or they're underinsured. They can't get to a doctor on time. We want to get the vaccine out to hundreds of millions of people as quickly as possible. Money in this bill that does that. So if he does not sign this bill, and by the way, the government may shut down because this was a combination of a COVID bill plus an omnibus bill, which keeps the government running. So you're not going to have all the protections that working people need. And then on top of that, you may be looking at a government shutdown in the midst of the most difficult moment in modern American history. It is insane. It is really insane. And this president has got to finally do the right thing for the American people and stop worrying about his ego.
This is a $900 billion bill. The administration actually, before the election, had proposed a $1.8 trillion bill, and Democrats wouldn't move on it. Was that a mistake in hindsight? Should Democrats have taken them up on the offer of a $1.8 trillion relief bill?
All I can tell you, Jonathan, is that given the enormity of the problems that we are facing, $900 billion is simply not enough. We should have been talking about at least double that, maybe even more. You will recall that the CARES package that passed in March was $2.2 trillion. It was $600 supplementary unemployment. And on top of that, it was $1,200 direct payment, significant help for states and localities who desperately need that help, money for hospitals, for schools, etc. That's what we should be talking about now. Let us be clear. At this moment, working families are suffering more economic desperation than any time since the Great Depression. We should be responding to that need. And let me say this, I think that President-elect Biden understands that reality. And if we can get through this Trump administration the next few weeks without doing terrible harm to the American people, I suspect one of the first items on the Biden agenda will be following up on what we're doing here and providing that kind of assistance.
Seems like a safe bet. Let me ask you about the emerging Biden cabinet. Is it progressive enough?
Well, what I have said many, many times is the progressive movement itself probably is 35 or 40% of the Democratic coalition. And I believe that the progressive movement deserves seats in the cabinet. That has not yet happened. So, I would like to see strong progressives in the administration who are going to stand up for the working families of this country, who believe that health care is a human right, who believe we've got to make sure that public colleges and universities are tuition free, and that we have to be aggressive on issues like climate change, racial justice, immigration reform.
We've heard on Attorney General's last big nomination, the major nomination to be made. And we've heard a few names. We've heard Sally Yates, Senator Doug Jones, Merrick Garland. Some reporting suggesting Merrick Garland is the front runner there. Would Merrick Garland be a progressive enough choice from your perspective as Attorney General?
I don't know Mr. Garland very well, but I think we can probably have a stronger progressive than him. But I'm not going to comment on Biden's particular appointments.
All right, Senator Bernie Sanders, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.